this is Big Statement, and we're back again, and here now we have another video for you, and this will be my review of Daredevil Born Again Season 2. Now there'll likely be spoilers not only for this season, but also for all other previous Marvel movies and TV shows, both from Disney Plus and Netflix, so just beware when going into this video. So just to quickly recap then on the finale from Season 1, which saw Wilson Fisk tighten his grip and control over the city as mayor, taking hostage some of the most influential figures, including Frank Castle as the Punisher. We see Matt and Karen start to assemble a squad of police officers and civilians to begin the resistance and fight back against Fisk, and the end credits saw Frank Castle manage to escape his capture. And Season 2 continued on from that narrative as we see Fisk once more gaining favour and adulation within the public. He still comes across problematic individuals such as CIA operative Mr. Charles and also the Governor of New York, Marge McCaffrey. Matt and Karen continue with the resistance group with varying degrees of success. We see the returning appearances of the likes of Benjamin Poindexter and also Jessica Jones. Blake finds himself in a compromising position with his closeness to BB as she continually leaks information to the press. And Fisk suffers a personal loss that threatens to derail his whole political position. Now in terms of Season 2, whilst I wouldn't say it's either been a really good or really bad season, I think its biggest struggle is maintaining a compelling narrative to keep investment into. We look at the main story overall with Matt battling once more against Mayor Fisk, and it's a story we've already explored both in Season 1 and Season 3 of the Netflix series, and also within the previous season here. Now as good as it was back then, it just seems now that we are just repeating the same story beats as before. And you just wonder how long you can keep dragging on this type of storyline before hitting its natural conclusion. We even get a climatic fight between Matt and Fisk in episode 6, I believe, and yet nothing comes from it. And it just seems we're in this never-ending back and forth in terms of the characters without any full resolution. Now admittedly, this is perhaps a flaw within the Daredevil character itself. He doesn't have the extensive rogue gallery of, let's say, Spider-Man or Batman, so primarily we just have Fisk, Bullseye or the Hand. And we've explored all of these characters already multiple times in previous series. We then once more have the issue of multiple supporting characters who still feel very disposable. Whether it's Beck being caught between his position and his relationship with BB, therapist Heather Glenn's continued PTSDs after her encounter with Muse, or the CIA operative Mr. Charles, and all of these characters just feel like padding with no real interest in terms of the overall story. And with any continued focus on these type of characters, it just seemed to make the episodes drag every time you would watch it, especially with an hour-long runtime. Now yes, it was nice seeing Kristen Ritter return as Jessica Jones, although I'm still questioning on how integral she is within Daredevil's story, and her appearance really feels more like she's just there to test whether the optics are high enough to warrant another season of her show. Now of course we focus on Vincent D'Onofrio's Wilson Fisk, who still remains the best performance and character within the series. He still carries the most imposing and lasting presence, still generating a huge amount of tension and suspense whenever he appears on screen. And we do see the character go through various ups and downs this season, most notably of course losing his longtime wife Vanessa, and was admittedly a very impactful scene in I believe the 5th episode, where we see Fisk in a boxing ring, and after a Ford assassination attempt on him, we see Vanessa get caught in the collateral damage. And whilst this was an emotional impactful point within the series, you do feel now after losing Vanessa as that counterbalance, what really more can be explored within this truly great character in stories going forward. Which leads us to the finale itself, which admittedly was very dramatic as we see Matt revealing his identity to the world as Daredevil in Karen's court trial. The result of this was that it exposed Fisk's involvement in the Northern Star weapons cargo shipment that we saw in the opening episode of the season, and also other levels of corruption within his administration. This then absolves Karen of any wrongdoing as she was arrested under Fisk's organisation. And shortly after that we do get an action-packed, if very implausible, action sequence where we see basically a war between Fisk's soldiers and the police officers that have sided with Matt and Karen. And it did get a bit silly as we saw all of these people dressed up in Daredevil costumes, and then we saw Fisk deciding to battle his way through, punching and kicking various people as we saw an eventual fight between both him and Matt. The results of this sees Fisk ultimately concede his position as mayor, while Matt ends up being imprisoned for his vigilante actions as Daredevil. We see the returning Luke Cage to reunite once more with Jessica and her new daughter back in her office, and this is pointing to season 3, where it was revealed many months ago that Luke Cage will be appearing in the 3rd season alongside Iron Fist as well. And if this borns to be successful, we may indeed see Luke Cage returning in another series of his own. We see Heather Green putting on the Muse mask, looking to adapt Star Identity, again tying back to the comics. And to be honest, this is a development I think we should have seen throughout this season. It would have given the character far more importance and substance throughout the season, as she's really just been hanging on the edges for the most part. And we close with a juxtaposition sequence, seeing Matt sitting in his prison cell facing the wall, as we see Wilson Fisk staring into an open beach in exile, all alone once more. So as a finale, I suppose it had lots of action, though again it summarised the fact that this season wasn't really as impactful in terms of its storytelling, though I think the biggest success of this finale was that it opened a new status quo. For we will now exist in a world where everybody knows who Matt is as Daredevil, so how exactly will he function going forward in terms of his crime busting duties? Of course, we do expect to see some sort of prison breakout, whether Luke Cage will be involved. Again, we're tying back to the original behind the scene photos that we saw from season 3. How will Wilson Fisk continue to be involved? Will he go back to being a more criminal kingpin, what we saw in season 1, or will he somehow be able to work his way back into some sort of congressional office as previously as before? But at the very least, there will be some sort of interesting dynamic, certainly within the first opening episodes. We'll probably see John Bernthald's Punisher return also. We know that he's got that one-off special, One Last Kill, to be broadcast shortly. And we also know he will be making an appearance in Spider-Man Brand New Day. So at the very least, there are some sort of opening opportunities to freshen the mix and the narrative with this ongoing series. But they really do need to cut down the bloat in terms of additional supporting characters and just find much more compelling material if this is indeed going to sustain interest in any potential season 3 or 4. So there's my overall thoughts and feelings and review of Daredevil Born Again season 2. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and if you have any other further movies, television series, or any other topics within the pop entertainment and culture scene that you'd like to see me cover in the channel, then also let me know in the comments, and I'll see if I can provide further commentary for you on that subject matter within the future. Please also hit like the subscription and notification buttons so I can provide you with more quality content like this in the future. But that's it for now. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you very, very soon.